Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Or good evening.
Good evening. It is what time is it here?
3:30 in the AM.
Yeah, 3:28 AM.
I'm in work in 5 hours. Count them.
I've got holidays now. I got no work, which is really, really quite nice.
Nice.
Can you hear us okay? Just say something. All right. Cool. So hold on. Someone give us a comment that says whether you can hear us or not. And we'll start going through it. And assuming that you can hear us quite fine, we'll set a bit of the tone for all of this. So obviously we have just seen it. We didn't get to go to the press screening or anything like that. But yeah, we got the midnight session, which was quite good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, nice deluxe cinema and all that sort of stuff. Cool. You can hear us perfectly. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, so we've seen it. We've done our spoiler-free reaction. We sat in a share car on the way here, just trying to figure out how we feel about everything.
We may have spoilt it all for the driver, but I don't think he gave a shit.
Yeah, I mean, he was not paying attention to us. He was very focused on the road. He was good.
5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars. So I think we're gonna start by going in order. So we're gonna go start of the film, what we can remember, and move forward. So questions and stuff like that as they come through. So we've got the first one here. Bev, what happens to Kylo? We will tell you, but we will tell you later.
Have you not seen it, Bev? Bev!
Yeah, Bev, what are you doing? This is a spoiler chat. All right.
Come on, Bevs.
All right. So let's do it. So
opening crawl, I was into it. It felt weird. First 3 things are just the dead speak.
Yeah, that was
starting into the middle of it, just getting into it. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, the dead speak was a really cool way to begin. Like, so basically, what is it? It's the dead speak. The setting is that
there's like a broadcast that's going around. Then you can hear
Palpatine is broadcasting to the general public somehow.
Yeah,
like basically, what is it? It's like 3 years later.
I've heard between 1 year and 5 years.
Yeah. So a bunch of years after The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
They've moved on. They've kind of regrouped a little bit. They're going out. They're doing missions. But in the meantime, yeah, Palpatine has been taunting people. So people know he's back. And I guess this is the thing. Like when the first trailer came out and people were like going, oh, they've revealed Palpatine. So forget, I guess, the fact that they revealed him in the trailer. If they hadn't, he would have been revealed in the opening crawl.
Oh, I mean, the opening crawl, and then like the Star Wars did drop that clip of Kylo arriving in his spaceship and then going to see the Emperor. That's literally the second scene in the film. Like,
yeah,
I thought that was interesting because that was like the scene I'd seen like a little clip of, and it's like, oh, you motherfuckers, don't give me that. But obviously, it's first scene.
Yeah, it's right there. Like there's no subtle reveal or anything like that of Palpatine. Like obviously we knew he was coming, but so they don't even try to hide him.
No.
Okay, there is a question here before we keep talking about it. I'm going to bring it up. So Danny, the outrage about the ending on Twitter. So I guess, can you tell us, because we were pretty good about like avoiding all of this stuff. I've heard from Girls with Sabers actually that there's been some outrage, but I can answer the second part of your question. I will answer it. Sean can answer it as well. Abso-fucking-lutely go see it. Don't let anyone and their fucking outrage, particularly if they haven't seen it.
Yeah, of course.
If someone has not seen the film and they are telling you don't go fucking see it, or if they are scaring you from it, that's some fandom menace level shit. Don't let that happen.
Nah.
Just fucking go see it. You will you will have things that you will like. You will have things that you don't like. There are going to be things that you will probably debate.
So my personal experience of the movie, I thought it was quite, I enjoyed it, but it's messy. So it sort of goes like this. Because like as you're kind of enjoying it and it's going up and then something will happen, you kind of go, what? And then it brings you back in again. And then towards the end, it kind of just goes, but it's a very, very different film to Last Jedi. Like Last Jedi sustains an interesting confidence and quality and clarity, I would say, straight way through. Whereas this, sometimes it feels rushed, sometimes it feels slow. Sometimes things happen out of convenience. It's really a return. It's Return the Jedi compared to Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
I would say. I think that's a
absolutely. And Seymour, you're absolutely correct. Like, it is a fucking fun movie.
It's a great experience.
Like, it is so big in scope. Like, we just said this in our non-spoiler video, and I'll repeat it here. Like, in 80, whatever it was, 83 or whatever, the scope of Return of the Jedi was the biggest of its day. And something that, we were discussing is that, look, computer technology and models and all this stuff, it's well embedded and entrenched in how films are made now. So for something to be like the biggest scope of a generation or anything like that would be really fucking hard. But in terms of story, I think that's where the big scope is. Like, it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
It's really big. There is stuff that I guarantee you'll be watching it for your 6th or 7th time and going, oh, that thing.
Yeah.
And JJ didn't lie when he said that this is really bringing something in from all of the other 8 films. There's God, I just can't stress how much stuff is in it.
Cameos are they run the gamut from just like, oh, that guy, to like utterly incredible.
Yeah.
There was like 2 scenes where we're spoiling.
Yeah, it's spoiling.
But
go nuts.
There's so many people in the chat's like, oh, should I go see it? Should I do this? And it's
no. If you're here, you're here because you need to hear stuff, and that's cool. We respect that. We're gonna spoil the shit out of it for you. Sorry.
Okay. So obviously, Kylo Ren gets the Wayfinder, this little like holocron type thing, finds Palpatine. Fucking hell! I've just listened to his name 45 times in that movie. Palpatine. And interesting, straight away you see just a big vat full of Snokes.
Yeah,
I thought was just like, okay,
yeah,
tick,
yeah,
but it made sense. And then Palpatine's like, oh, every voice you've heard has been me, and his voice goes from his own voice to Snoke's voice to Vader's voice, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, and that's something from the books as well, isn't it? Like, isn't like in, I can't remember which one because I haven't read it, but someone told me that in one of the books, and tell us in the comments if you know which one, that as a child, Kylo hears voices, he's tormented or something like that, or is that Rey? Someone gets tormented by voices.
It might be both of them.
And they think it's Snoke.
Oh no! It's I think it's in the end of Force Awakens, and it's Rey can hear Snoke talking to her when she's fighting.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Cool.
So the voices and stuff, all these things, not Snoke, it's Palpatine, and they set that up very quickly. Like that. So I felt like that is a bit of a very expositional reveal. Like, they tell you a lot and then they show you some bits and pieces to reinforce it.
Yeah.
So there is quite a bit of that. But yeah, just clones everywhere. Like, it's vats basically. So,
and that did have my first, like, so, because obviously there was a lot of debate about, well, how has the Emperor come back and that. And when Kylo Ren says, how are you still alive? And the Emperor just says, oh my God, it's like the classic line. It says, there are ways
around something. It's from the prequels.
Yeah.
Many of which
some would consider
feel unnatural.
Yeah. And he's just got like, his eyes are just like milky white and he just looks fucked up. But like,
he's got like blind eyes, like that.
Ian McDiarmid there is just like,
yeah.
Oh my God. He's just back in that role straight away.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's actually, like, there's a quick question here because this we can answer very quickly. Does Huxton Pride have a substantial or minor role in the film?
So Pride has a substantial role.
Yep, Hux has a minor-ish role.
I think he's in he's in a couple of scenes, but he goes out badly.
Yeah. So he
I actually thought that scene was amazing.
It was pretty funny.
People are gonna absolutely hate that. I think that's gonna really rub some people up the wrong way.
Yeah. So
I was into that.
We'll talk about Hux and what happens with Hux in a moment. But yeah, so Hux has got a smallish role, but kind of
crucial.
And yeah, Pride has got the more substantial role.
He's essentially he's one of them.
Well,
He's the Tarkin.
Yeah, he's Palpatine's lackey, basically.
Yeah.
He's been around since the Imperial days, and so he's known all this shit the whole time, and he's been the guy sort of in the First Order that is the link, it appears, to Papa Palps. So actually, Molly, yes, haters are going to hate.
That is what they do.
And
that's what they're for.
Let's be real here. It's a freaking Star Wars movie. Like, there is no chance in hell that everyone is going to be happy about this. There is no chance in hell that this is not going to cause a stir.
There is a slight confusion, though, because obviously I looked at this movie has a 56% Rotten Tomatoes score. Like, it's not getting good reviews.
Really?
But what's interesting is now the people who hated The Last Jedi because it didn't give an answer to Rey's parentage, didn't explain who Snoke was, and so on. They get all those answers in this movie.
Yeah.
But now they're all sort of dancing around saying, oh, well, it got 56% of Rotten Tomatoes. Like, well, yeah, so maybe the better movie, not having those things, maybe it made it better.
Yeah.
Or the better reviewed movie, though it is the better movie. I mean, in terms of Last Jedi, and it's apples and oranges.
Yeah,
gold different. Apples and an orange.
Yeah. All right, let's get back into the story and stuff like that. And we're going to be a little bit backtracking with questions and stuff like that. So if we sort of pause a little bit, So all right. Yep.
Yes.
Hey Turbo. Yes, the John Williams cameo was pretty fucking cool.
That was literally one of the few times that I kind of went.
Yeah, he's like got a little like eyepiece on, so he's like semi-obscured and stuff, but you get a nice close-up of his face. So that was really fucking cool.
And that's going to be a thing as well, rewatching it to see all the cameos and stuff, because there's tons. There's a lot of background characters and stuff where you're kind of like trying to, Right, so the Resistance go to a planet.
I can't remember the name.
Pick up some sort of
it's
transmission.
Like a data drive or something, isn't it?
And they find out that there's the First Order
has a spy.
Now, the guy who gives them the drive, I think Mark Hamill does that guy's voice.
Sounded a lot It sounded very Mark Hamill-y. We didn't hang around for the credits to find out, though.
We did find out a few things in the credits, though, which we'll come back to later. And there's one, actually, I don't know if you saw, but I'll tell you about it now. So they get the Falcon, they escape. We're doing this cool light speed jumping thing. So they keep jumping to different locations, which is probably, again, full of Easter eggs. They're probably jumping to interesting places.
That was a really cool effect. It just kind of felt like
Lightspeed skipping or something they call it.
It's called skipping or something like that. So like Lightspeed, normally they have to chart their course and this is kind of like manual Lightspeed. It's just like they're fucking just going, all right, we're going there, and they like do half a jump and then half a jump and then half a jump, and TIE fighters are chasing them through Lightspeed as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
So if we think back to like the First Order tracking through Lightspeed in The Last Jedi, fucking TIE fighters can do it. So something like we at home, we watched The Last Jedi last night. Oh, not last night, the night before now. Fucking hell, it's Thursday. So we watched it, and it really just sticks out to me how much like people are like going, oh, the whole, the side plot with Finn and Rose and all that sort of stuff. Think what you will about it, but like it's just a great example. Like if you just think of it for 2 seconds, it's like, well, even if they'd found that fucking master code breaker, it wouldn't have mattered because that's not how they were tracking him. Their idea of how hyperspace tracking worked was, we know if we've read that comic, or I think it was in a comic, that it wasn't from this like computer, like this one central process where one ship was doing it. They just had, it wasn't like an active tracker. It was literally like just bashing coordinates and like watching the ships for the very precise point that they go in, and then it's like, yep, they can only be going there because there are a limited number of hyperspace routes, sort of thing. TIE fighters can fucking do it now.
Yes.
So that was cool.
Yep. And then Rey's training with Leia.
Yeah. So she's training on a jungle planet.
Yep. Where the base is.
Yeah. And she refers to Leia as Master. So Leia is in charge of Rey's Jedi training, which is really, I thought that was cool.
That would have been.
We got one of these things. That's that was the first, like the opening action was really cool, but that was the first thing where I went, fucking yes, Leia is Jedi training. That's fucking cool.
And they managed to do pretty well with Carrie Fisher bringing her back. They did have a bit of a problem. Like some of the dialogue worked fine, but some of the lines that they had to be fed quite unnaturally. Like characters would say things for her to react to, and then you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. It's like the lines of dialogue felt like they were all like, okay, well, we know that we've got Carrie saying this, so we need to write backwards from that rather than it being organic.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is a little bit jarring. But when it was just like shots of her reacting to things, you just felt like she was there.
Yeah. It was. There were moments where it was like it was good and then it was bad, and like, well, not even bad, but like we're very conscious of the limitations that they had.
Of course,
One thing I will say, so in all the stuff where it's General Leia, it looks pretty good. Like we watched it on a fuck off big screen. So usually the thing about those big fuck off big screens with, you know, like high end laser projection and stuff is if a special effect looks a little bit janky, you know it. Like you can see it there, and it looked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
There was no like weird lip movements or anything like that. It's like it's her voice, it's all her. However, and we'll get to this, JJ did lie. There is CGI Leia in it, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
I was happy with it though.
Yeah, no, same. I think it was cool. We all knew what it was. We all knew what it was, if you know what I mean. It wasn't going to be perfect, and what they managed to do was fine.
Yeah.
So
so she's training. Basically, she's got the training droid. So we've seen this in the teaser trailers. Like she's running through this jungle planet. Leia is watching her. She is her Jedi teacher. Rey is running and all this sort of stuff. And one thing I will say, Reylo people, the red threads thing, the red ribbon that she's holding, it's not the red thread. It's not that. Basically, the red ribbons, what are they? It's an obstacle course.
It's just to cut it and catch it. I would say so any sort of Reylo predictions based on scenes you've seen, 90% of them I think were incorrect.
Yeah.
So when she's standing there and the TIE fighter is going towards her, that wasn't training.
Yeah.
When they're fighting, they are actually fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not to say that there isn't Reylo stuff in here. We'll get to that. But most of the stuff that you saw was not that. And
they dispense with this, a lot of the stuff that you see in the teasers real early on.
They do.
Really early in the film. So
yeah, like the fight on the Death Star is probably like at the midway point.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say, movie is like 2 hours 41. It went like that.
Yeah.
At no point was I like, oh, you know, and I'm watching, you know, I'm an old man. I'm watching this movie like 2 in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
But there was
never
never
his hip creaking.
I was like, but there was never a point where I was like, because that's the thing. When I watched Last Jedi, there was a point where I was like, fuck me, this is a long film. And I wasn't bored. I was just like, God, I feel like I'm watching this film forever. Whereas Rise of Skywalker, I got to a certain point where I was like, there must be another hour left in this. But there wasn't. Like the pacing it's good. It moves like.
Yeah, it moves quite well. But I guess that comes back to that density of story. Like they have,
they
really are throwing stuff in. So like you are like going this and then this and then this. There's never a time where you're like going nothing much is happening here. There's no new things or anything like that. But anyway, so while Rey is training,
they get the data thing.
Yeah, they get this data pack and they broadcast it. So they basically, from the place that they are picking up the data pad, they stick it in R2. R2 is broadcasting it back to Leia, and they're fucking making like tracks to get the hell out of there. Yep. First Order is on their tail. The Falcon gets pretty badly damaged and whatnot. The hyperspace skimming or whatever it was called causes further damage to the Falcon. They land on fire, basically. The Falcon's fine though, but like it's on fire. And there's a bit of a fight between Poe and Rey, basically. And basically Poe was just like, we needed you there. And she's like, I was busy. And he's like, doing what? Training kind of thing. He's kind of, he wants her out in the field, and she's being kept back for some reason, kept by Leia doing some training, and
she's keeping herself back because she sort of says to Leia, like, I can't take the lightsaber until I've earned it. You know, stuff like that. She sort of does feel as though she hasn't done. I don't know. Maybe she's learned from Luke, and she's like, right, I can't be rushing into this.
Yeah,
like he did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not. The fight isn't as you know. They're losing the fight. And then now, from this information, they know that there is a 10,000 strong army of the Sith fleet.
Yeah.
There's not 10,000 ships, but there's 10,000.
Yeah, it's called the Final Order.
The Final Order, yes.
Yeah, so basically, if we're tracking like Palpatine's plan, his contingency, if anything were to happen to him, was obviously there's more than one of him. He's been cloning himself this whole time. Operation Cinder happens, so he starts torching planets as a show of strength. The remnants of the Empire form the First Order. But while that's all happening, and basically the whole time, so we can assume that this has been happening throughout the entire other 8 films, like the whole saga potentially, like he has been basically amassing supporters and numbers and all this sort of stuff, and crew, basically ground staff in some respects. So maybe that's later. I don't know. It's hard to know.
Sort of the First Order just merges with the Final Order. Like,
well, that's the idea.
You see the idea, then they're all in cool
the First Order go out,
suits.
And then the Final Order is meant to be like all right, so we've got a force, we've done enough, we've overthrown the government again. Now the Final Order is going to come in, and they're just going to wipe the slate basically, and give rise to a Sith-led empire. Which is laid out pretty early on, and Kylo is trying to find him basically. So Kylo is also heard.
That's trying to kill him first.
That's his
then
instinct.
When the plan is presented to him, he's like, oh yeah, no, happy days, we'll have some of this.
So he's basically in the opening crawl, it's that Kylo is meant to be basically, he's heard the broadcast and been like, no, nothing will threaten my hold over the First Order. So he's seeking out what I thought were holocrons, because they look kind of like holocrons, but they're actually just GPS. They're just space GPS. So he's been seeking a Sith GPS to go and find Palpatine, and he gets there, and then Palpatine's like, you basically, I've been the one taunting you. You've got the First Order, but if you want more, I can give it to you. This is what I have.
But you gotta kill the girl.
You gotta kill the girl, or you gotta bring the girl to me so that we can kill her, kind of thing. And he's like, appears to be going along with it.
Yeah. So
the first Force time happens fairly soon as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So like that's happened. So that's the opening. There's the mission to find the data about like the leak from the mole inside the First Order, and then there's Rey training. So it's those 3 scenes.
Yep.
And then they all merge back in. Hold on. Yeah. So seeing it again after midnight.
Which one? The new comments.
New comments. Yeah. So the end of Rey's training is the first Force time. So basically, Kylo goes back to the command ship, and he's got Vader's helmet.
So as he sort of touches the helmet, she basically the training droid's beaten her, and then she just beats the shit out of it. Like she gets a bit of a dark side thing and fucks it up.
And I thought it was because he's trying to communicate with her. So like he puts his hand, like Kylo puts his hand on Vader's helmet to like channel power or something, and then it's causing Rey to like lose track of what she's up to.
Starts to see like the Sith throne and see flashes of parents and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then then what happens then? Oh, anyway, they go on the mission together, basically.
Yeah, so Rey. Oh yeah, so they realize they have to find the other the Resistance have to find the other Wayfinder, so the other GPS, and they know that. Oh yeah, sorry. So in the Jedi texts, Luke's been looking for it, and he knows it's on Pasaana with this particular Jedi hunter, I believe the character was.
Yeah, he was a Jedi hunter of some sort.
So the full crew, Chewie, 3PO, BB-8, Finn, Poe, Rey, go to Pasaana.
Yep.
And while they're there, then they have the first Force time.
Yes.
And they actually have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And basically Kylo is basically taunting her a little bit, saying like, you wanted to take my hand, but you didn't. And I have information that when I give it to you, you will. You will join me, basically. And he's throwing those details at her, but he doesn't quite give it to her. No.
So then he rips the necklace from around her neck, and then they analyze the necklace and they find that she's done persona. So they send the Knights of Ren, and I think Kylo gets his helmet redone and all that. I will say, spoiler: the Knights of Ren, fucking useless.
Yeah.
Just a really one of those things. I feel like they just wrote into Force Awakens and then just never worked out how to use them, because they basically just appear around, and then the one time they actually fight, they just get completely fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, they seem kind of like they're good at tracking things down.
Yeah.
Like they're that kind of like looming
Matt Smith
force.
wasn't in it.
Yeah, no Matt Smith.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So like the Knights of Ren track them. Basically, they're the first ones to track them down. So the First Order's arrived. They find where this like ship that our heroes have been looking for, because it's like a wreck basically. They've met up with Lando.
Yeah, Lando sort of helps them a little bit, and then he pisses off again.
Yeah, and Knights of Ren turn up. They capture Chewie.
Did you capture Chewie?
Yeah, so here's the thing from the teaser. Like, they capture Chewie because, like, they're on this ship. They're trying to jumpstart this ship. Dio is on the ship. He's been, like, covered in dust and sitting there.
The cone with the wheel.
Yeah, the cone with the wheel, that droid. So they're trying to start this ship up, and Chewie's been captured. They don't realize it because they're inside the ship still trying to get it running, and then they get it sort of up and running, and Poe is like, Finn, go get Chewie. Where the hell is he? And Finn goes out and he sees that they've arrested Chewie, and they're loading him onto one of two transports. But it's one of two. It's a very quick sort of shot. Finn's freaking out, but then of course, like, everyone sort of starts coming, and they're like, where's Rey? Rey does a bit of like just walking off on her own in this stuff. She gets a feeling and she goes.
She does. Sorry, I'm trying to point to this. That
this thing that's at the bottom of our screen here.
So she knows he's coming, and then they have that scene where and then she jumps over and she cuts off one of the wings, and it rolls away and explodes.
Yeah,
and then Finn gets her attention and kind of says, Chewie's on the transport. So she reaches up and stops the transport, and it's sort of jiggling in the air. But then Ren comes out and he grabs it as well. So they're sort of like the spaceships sort of darting between them both. And it's building and building and building. And the next minute, Rey just fires lightning from her hands.
Yeah, force lightning.
Blows the fucking thing up. And they all think, obviously, they've killed Chewie.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was like a bit of a moment.
Crazy.
Everyone was like, oh, fuck, Chewie's dead.
But oh, fuck, lightning.
Yeah, well, it was kind of two things. Like, she's shocked. She's obviously never done it before. But yeah, lightning comes out of her fingers, blows up this ship, and Kylo is just standing there like, you don't know what the read on his face is just yet. Like, is he cool with it, or is he like shocked? Like, we don't know. He plays it pretty cool, plays it really cool. But everyone's freaking out, and they're like, you've got to come back to the ship. Like, they're coming, hurry up. And Rey just has to run back to the ship. They get out. And then, yeah, what happens then? Like, they all sort of have a bit of a grieving moment. Yeah. And
then we've missed out a whole thing. While they're trying to find the ship, they get caught in quicksand.
Yeah.
So they fall through the quicksand, and there's a tunnel underneath. They find the dead body of the Jedi Hunter and a snake that's all its sides all fucked up. Massive snake. Yeah. And Rey heals it.
Yeah, using the Force, she heals it.
They find a dagger. 3PO reads the dagger, but explains that he can't actually translate it for them because Sith is like a forbidden language in his databanks.
Yeah.
So they realize... So they give Chewie... Then Chewie puts the dagger in his bag. The First Order take Chewie. Chewie gets killed. And then they're like, well, fuck now, because we don't know where anything is. And 3PO's like, yeah, it's still in my memory. So like, right, we got to take him somewhere and extract it.
Yeah, and Poe's like, I know a droid hacker, basically. So that's Babu Frick.
Boosh.
So they go...
Babu Frick.
He was really cool.
Did not disappoint.
Yeah, he was cool. So they go to... Yeah, they go to find
Kajimini or something.
Kajin or something like that. So
Yeah.
they go to a planet to find Babu Frick. In the meantime, it's cut to inside of the First Order command ship, and Chewie is not dead. So fake out. That's the second ship. So yeah, like, you know, I said like there were two ships, but they only show it for like very quickly, and you're focused on Chewie getting into one, and it's very much foreground. So you kind of don't. You're not really focusing on the second one, but it's there.
It's like the where am I? So one ship's here, and then there's like, fucking hell, I can't do this camera.
It's like ship, and like maybe.
So where my arm is like the other ship. So
yeah,
you know there's a ship there.
That's the other ship.
Yeah. I don't think we need to explain that for that long, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So Chewie's taken away, and then Kajimini, Babu Frick. They meet Zori Bliss. Zori Bliss takes the Babu Frick. They realize that in order to get the thing out of 3PO, they've got to wipe his memory entirely. And 3PO agrees to it because it's the only way for them to win. Yeah. So they completely wipe him down to nothing. Yeah. And he's like, I am C-3PO.
Yeah.
Human cyborg relations.
What? Who are you?
Anthony Daniels gets all the best lines.
Yeah, he does.
But his eyes go red and he can translate the Sith thing. So they know now where Exelon? No.
Yeah, something like Exelon.
There's a Sith planet. That's where the Emperor's hiding.
Yeah. So 3PO knows of it, and R2 knows of this planet when they first mention it earlier on, but it's like a planet of
It's a myth.
Yeah, basically, no one knows of it.
But it's in the Jedi sacred texts.
Yeah, and Luke had been trying to find it.
Trying to find it with Lando.
Yeah, so that's a
whole other book.
Yeah.
I'll read.
Yeah.
So while they're doing that, a destroyer shows up, and it's Kylo's destroyer, and Rey realizes that Chewie's on board.
Yeah, she feels him in the Force.
Oh, and they've also got the Falcon on there because they nicked it from Pasaana.
Yeah.
When they arrested Chewie.
Yeah, they'd recovered the Falcon. One thing I'll say is like, after the whole thing happens with 3PO and they recover it, and it's like, all right, we've got to get out of there. You know how some movies would be like, oh, we've got to go save our friend. Oh, but we can't, or we hold it. They just go, no, fuck it, we're going to get Chewie. Yeah. Like there's no discussion. The second Rey is like, Chewie, I can feel Chewie's alive. They're just like, we're going.
Yeah.
Get
your shit together. We're going.
Not here to fuck spiders. Buy a shirt. Yeah, they just up they go.
Yeah.
Zori Bliss is someone that they've met on the planet. Basically, her and Poe go back a bit. We find out Poe used to be a spice runner.
I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah, which was kind of cool. Him and Zori have a bit of a past, and it was a bit of a romantic past as well. But he left on bad terms, and she didn't forgive him for that at the very beginning when they met. But the planet has been overrun by the First Order. Yeah. And she says in a bit of dialogue, so they're out watching guard while the whole 3PO thing is happening, and the reveal basically of the planet is that the First Order had basically stripped it of children. They'd taken all the kids. There's nothing but adults left, and they're just basically doing raids on homes. They're just fucking the place up. Yeah. She can't necessarily get off, but she'd obviously stolen a First Order generals, like it's like his ID badge basically, and you put it in in a ship's ID scanner, and it basically gives you free clearance wherever the hell you want to go. So she gives that to Poe and whatnot, and that's how they go to get Chewie. She just land on. They were just going to go, yeah. So and she's like, "Take this," and he's like, "I can't take that. That's your ticket off here." And she's like, "Go get your friend." So they do it. They just whack it in. They get to land with no conflict. And then they just come out all guns blazing. Yeah, just like boo, 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 boo. They get Chewie. Blah, blah, blah. They split up. Rey goes because she gets a thing. They find Chewie. They're blasting their way out, and then they get caught. Yep. So I'll just talk about this bit, then you can talk about the Rey bit. Yep. So they get taken somewhere to be executed, and Hux shows up. There's like three stormtroopers and Hux, and Hux says, "Do you mind if I kill them?" Yeah. Takes the gun, shoots the stormtroopers, and Hux is the spy. Yep. So he helps them get out and put like Hux is the spy. Shows them where the Falcon is, releases the Falcon, and says to Finn, "You're gonna have to shoot me in the arm or whatever." And Finn shoots him in the leg. And Hux has a great line where he's like, "I don't care. I don't want the Resistance to win. I just want Kylo Ren to lose." And we'll come back to Hux's story. Yeah. So that's one thread that's happening on the ship. The other one is Rey's gone exploring, wandering off as she does, and she finds Kylo's quarters.
Mm.
And in the quarters, she finds Chewie's bandolier, bowcaster, and the dagger on a table. And the podium that we see in the teaser, and everyone's like, is that Vader's helmet on a podium or is it an altar? Yeah. So basically it is like a black pillar, and Vader's burnt up helmet is sitting on top of it. Now, sorry.
It's like Kylo Ren's on the planet.
Yeah, Kylo Ren's down on the planet where they just were. So basically they've missed each other. And whilst there, he's like, they can't find anyone, basically. The First Order is scouring the place. They can't find them. So Ben's just like, all right, I'm going to try finding her in the Force. And he Force times her. And basically, the thing that happens with Force time in The Last Jedi, obviously, you can see the person. You can't see their backdrop. But you remember, like, the water splashing in The Last Jedi and Kylo got wet from it. So that is the thing that they heavily lean into. Obviously, that's how he ripped the necklace off for the first time he Force timed her, because there is physicality through that connection. We know because of the touch and all that stuff. And then
it's possible it's getting stronger because of the connection. It's possible it's getting stronger because, like, the Emperor's influencing it now. Yeah.
Possibly, or it was always that strong.
Oh, it was always that strong,
and it was just the touch was the first time that they ever really tried.
Yeah.
So no explanation to that, but yeah. So they are Force time again. They argue, and he just keeps going like, "Where are you? Where are you?" And she's got the dagger. She's trying to go, and then I can't remember what he says, but they get the lightsabers out. And they have a lightsaber fight. So the speculation about the teaser was that, they're fighting together and they're going to smash Vader's altar. Nope.
Different planets.
They're on different planets. And
different places.
Yeah, and they're Force timing each other. The fight is...
So it's up there and then it's down there.
Yeah,
so,
but they are fighting each other at the same time.
So at one point, Rey swings for him, misses, and hits like a vase full of beads. And the beads fall onto the floor of the planet, but they're actually in the room.
Yeah.
And then when they break the altar, Ren sees
the helmet falls at his
and he's
feet.
Like, I know where you are.
Yeah. And that's it. And then she's like, oh, get the fuck out of here.
She tries to escape.
Yep. And so they meet.
Yep. So as she's trying to get out, Ren shows up in his TIE fighter, and she's like standing on the precipice next to like the blast shields or whatever in the cargo hold, and he says to her, if you're watching this and you do not want spoilers, obviously we're too far gone now, but he basically says to her, yes, your parents were nothing, but your grandfather was
Palpatine.
Not sure I'm a fan.
Yeah. So Rey is no longer Rey from nowhere and nobody, born of junk traders. So
one of them played by Jodie Comer.
Yeah. So Rey's mother is Jodie Comer from Killing Eve. She's kept that really fucking quiet, which is cool.
I don't know who the dad was. I did see the clip. So basically that's the story. It's the Emperor wants her there because she's so powerful, and her parents sold her into slavery to protect her, and then the Emperor got the Jedi Hunter with the dagger to kill the parents. Yeah. Creates a bit of a continuity error in terms of filthy drunk traders who sold you off for drinking money. Could be a lie by Kylo Ren.
What he did say is that they were nobody. The parents were nobody, but it was something, I think he said something like they were nobody by choice.
Yeah.
So Palpatine.
So her father was Palpatine's son.
Yeah. And obviously Junior Palpatine did not like what Daddy Palpatine stood for. So the parents tried to get her away. They knew what Palpatine wanted. And so that was it. Rey is a Palpatine. So anyone that is or that had been speculating that after The Force Awakens, they were correct. You'd probably have to go back and look at what people's speculations about Rey as a Palpatine and what they used as evidence.
Probably nothing.
Probably not in the film, but it's probably going to be worth doing if you're that
It'd be
bored.
fascinating, though. It'd be interesting if like someone said, oh, actually, I thought it was because of this, and it actually tracked.
Yeah.
Molly Thomas, spot on, love. I am exactly the same.
Yep.
It works, but as soon as it happened, I was just like, oh, you motherfucker. Like the thing that me and Matt were talking about after we saw the film, it's the thing that it lost was the not the moral necessarily, but Last Jedi had this idea of like anyone can be. To be honest, it actually negates one of the videos we made, the "You're Not the Chosen One" video.
Yeah,
because the whole point of that is like Rey is not the chosen one, or not a chosen one, so to speak, because she's not like.
She's still not the chosen one.
She's not the chosen one. Ignore that. But like the concept of a chosen one, like someone by blood.
A divine one or whatever. But it becomes a very complicated issue. So like our friends at Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast the other day put a tweet poll up asking about, like, who's the chosen one? Is it Anakin, Luke, or Rey? And arguments ensue as they always do. It doesn't negate, I don't think, Anakin as being the chosen one at all.
No, in fact, actually, we will get to it, but I do believe. Put a pin in that.
Yeah, okay. We'll think about that.
It's 4 a.m. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah, so basically, Rey. I don't think she's the chosen one. Like,
no.
But she is from special blood, basically. Yeah. She is from nowhere. Her parents chose to be nobody, so it kind of keeps that in place. And something that is a bit of a thread throughout the whole thing is choice, I think. And so it's something that they I think keep showing is that despite this, Rey still chooses to be good, and she still chooses to help and to be the ray of light that we sort of know. Just as her parents chose, so that I think that's the line that they were going, that like, nature versus nurture and all this sort of stuff. It doesn't really, but it disappointed me.
Jumps on, she leaps away and gets on the Falcon, and then using the coordinates from 3PO, they go to one of the moons of Endor, to the wreckage of the Death Star. Yeah,
they're trying to still find the second space GPS.
So she goes onto that and sort of has a bit of an explore and ends up in a bit of a forcey place and meets Dark Rey, and they have a fight. And I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Because Dark Rey does this cool thing where she kind of like, they're fighting and then she closes her lightsabers on Rey's lightsaber, and then
like a clamp.
It's just like big things and
Yeah.
Now
it's like a room that's off to the side of
the throne room.
Palpatine's throne room, and it played the score from Return of the Jedi.
The music was score. Like, in terms of like hitting old themes, was chocker of like greatest hits. Fine. I'm not saying like that's bad. It was a lot of like cool musical cues, because obviously if you know the film so well, as soon as you hear the cue, you're like, ooh, what's this?
Yeah.
And they did a lot of cool things where they take a theme you knew and play it in a kind of major key or minor. I don't know music.
Yeah.
But like whatever one makes it less ominous, which was cool. Who was Rey's grandmother, Turbo?
Don't know. There'll be a comic. It'll be called Palpatine Bangs, a Star Wars story.
But I don't know. What's the timeline?
Yeah, who knows? I don't fucking know.
Anyway, it's whatever. So and then when she falls out the room, Kylo's there, and he hits the Wayfinder and destroys it.
Yeah, it drops out of her hands because she's startled. Like Dark Rey in this like Sith meditation room, I guess.
Yeah.
She flies out of it because she's scared, drops the thing, and he's like, "You're going to come with me." And she's like, "I'm not going to come with you. Give me it." And he's taunting her about who she is, basically. It's like, "You're a Palpatine. You're going to come with me. You're a bad one." And she's like, "No, I'm not a bad one. Give me that." And then he just fucking crushes it and goes, "Well, you're going to have to come with me now if you want to go. I'm the only one with the map." Kind of thing.
So they have a big fight. And this one was definitely, there was a lot of like Matrixy moves, a lot of big jumps and shit. And it was cool. I mean,
very prequely. Like, how they do big jumps, they do speed moves and all that sort of stuff. But like, obviously it was harder to show it in 1999 and whatnot. They can show it now. So there's big jumps. Yeah.
And to be honest, I think this was the point where my sort of tiredness kicked in. And I was sort of like, my energy flagged during this like fight scene. It was good. It's excellent. Like it's a real sort of knockout brawl. But gets to a certain point, and then Leia reaches out to Ben. Am I right?
Yeah, so they're fighting, and they're basically at the end of the fight, and Kylo's actually winning.
Oh yeah,
This-
Rey's just
like
fucked.
Rey's
She's knackered.
Rey's a mess,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, she's a bit of a mess. She's tired and she's conflicted. She knows who she is, and it's disturbing her and all that. And Kylo is getting the upper hand. She falls to her knees, basically, and he goes to like strike the last blow, and he stops.
Yes.
And he hesitates for a second. At the background, though, something has been broadcast back to the Resistance base. I think it's that Kylo's there and they're fighting.
Yes.
Like, so they basically message that back. It's like, look, the First Order have found us. Kylo Ren's here. Him and Rey are fighting. Like, so that's us reading between the lines. That gets broadcast back or radioed back.
No,
sorry.
No. Leia is like at one of the terminals, and then she just drops her headphones and starts to like walk away. And I think someone asks Maz what's going on, and Maz is like, she knows what she has to do. She can only do one thing to save her son, or something like that. Because I think she can just feel the fights happening and can feel that it's turning against Rey.
Yeah.
So she walks away.
There is a radio thing, though, because Dominic Monaghan gets a thing and then goes, General, and he goes to find her.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, there's something like that.
I feel like it's more forcey, though.
Yeah, and you get this other...
No. It's when the Dominic Monaghan thing, I think, is later, because it's when the fleet launches.
Yeah, okay, maybe. I don't know. I'm getting a little confused with it, but... Yeah.
But yeah, so Leia kind of reaches out to Ben and distracts him, and Rey takes his lightsaber and stabs him.
Stabs him through the chest, yeah.
And that's the end of the film, so peace.
Yeah. No. One thing I will say is there's bits of dialogue that are peppered through this, basically, that makes us think that, gives you a hint that Leia knows, that maybe Leia knows about Rey, but hasn't said it. And she's said something to Finn. Actually, Finn has got this kind of protectiveness of her
now,
and this is where I was a little confused for bits, because it feels like Finn knows something that he's not letting on.
I think now we're going to skip to the end here. Finn's force sensitive.
Yeah,
that's what he wants
things.
to tell her, I think. There's the point where he says to her, "Oh, I never told you, but," and then it never gets to say what it is, and it never comes up again. But it's clear that, like, when
he doesn't have force powers,
he doesn't have force powers, but he's sensitive in the way that he has that empathy thing that like Leia had.
Yeah.
So Kylo's there, stomach's all messed up, and Rey does the thing that she did in the snake and heals him, and says one of the best lines in the movie, where she says, "I would have taken your hand." No, I would have taken Ben's hand, or something like that. Shit. Okay, best line in the film. I can't remember what it was. And then she leaves. She runs away.
Yep.
So
yeah, they've
why
had.
Does she know where the thing? Oh no. Yeah, she takes his TIE fighter and fucks off.
Yeah, after healing him. So she heals him.
Says the line about, "I would have taken your hand, but I would have taken Ben Solo's hand."
Yeah. So Reylo moment. That was good.
Great Reylo moment. So she takes the TIE silencer and goes away, and
leaves Ben sitting there, and he's kind of dumbfounded. He's felt that his mother has reached out, but she's died.
And she's died.
Leia reaches out to Ben to like make this connection, and it kills her.
Yes.
For whatever reason. And I couldn't tell was whether it was that her reaching out just took it out of her and it killed her, or that she reached out and then Rey stabs him through the chest and then she dies. It's like right there. It's at the same time. So if you've seen it, say in the comments whether you think it's that she reached out and died because of the force thing, or whether it's that Rey killed him while there was a force connection going on and it kills Leia. So she collapses and R2 is there to see it, which was shitty. It's like the dog watching the master die and it whimpers. It was awful. So Leia dies.
Yeah. So we cut back to Kylo is standing on like an edge of a bit of the Death Star, just looking out over the water, and there's a long silence, and you have to, "Hey kid," he turns around, and it's fucking Harrison fucking Ford.
Yep.
Han Solo in the Harrison set. And it was incredible. They just had this back and forth, and
context.
Yes.
So whenever Kylo touches Vader's helmet, when he's trying to channel the Force, he sees other things. So he doesn't necessarily always see the things that he wants, but he gets glimpses of his own past as well. He sees his dad. He flashes back to the moment of him killing his dad, like over and over. And that is haunting him. So we see a visual representation of that.
We do.
And then, he turns around at the edge of the Death Star after he hears "Hey Kid," and fucking Han Solo is there.
And Han Solo says, "Ben, you're my son. My son never died." But then he says to him, like, "Kylo Ren's dead. Ben Solo's still alive," and touches his face. And then Kylo Ren says, "I know what I have to do, but I don't think I'm strong enough."
Yeah, they repeat the lines from
Han
The Force
says, yes,
Awakens.
And Kylo Ren takes this fucked up lightsaber and just throws it into the water.
Yeah.
Turns back to Han Solo and just goes, "Dad." And
has a teary as well.
And Harrison Ford just goes, "I know."
Yeah, it was fucking beautiful. That was
that was like, I was like, that is perfect.
Yeah, that was stunning.
Oh my gosh, just so good.
It's not Force Ghost Han, we should say.
It's just a memory.
It's a memory, and it's Ben. He is projecting this himself. Like, he's thinking it. He's talking to his invisible
He says,
dad.
"You're just a memory.
You're just a memory."
Yeah.
So it's not something cheesy like that. It's just him having his internal conflict.
So good.
Yeah, it was fucking lovely. When he threw his saber into the water, I was just like, fucking yes. That's your Bendemption moment.
That's it. That was pure Bendemption, yeah. So you got that. Now, Rey's taken the silencer and she's fucked off to Act 2. And she's like, set fire to it. She's throwing logs on it and getting the fire going.
Yeah,
and
burning
she gets Luke's lightsaber, her lightsaber, and throws it into the
fire. And Ghost hand comes out, catches it, and it's fucking Ghost Luke.
Yeah.
So Ghost Luke comes out, and it was good. And he basically was like, what does he say? He's like, "You're gonna need this," or something like that.
Yeah, the weapon of a Jedi needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, that's it.
And then she says, "I'm doing what you did. I'm going to stay here. And I'm going to get away from it." And Luke says, "I was wrong."
Yeah,
it's like fear was guiding me. I was wrong to do this. You need to get back into the fight. And she's like, "Well, I don't know where the Emperor is. I don't know where Exelon or whatever it is." And
Exelon,
yeah. And basically,
Excel.
Yeah. And he said, "Of course, you got everything that you need." And she works out that the original Wayfinder is in the silencer.
It's in the silencer.
So she takes that, and then Luke raises up his fucking X-wing out the water.
There is something that happens just before that. So they have the conversation where he says, "Look, I was wrong. I was wrong." And this is the bit. So we hinted at this earlier. So they go into one of the huts there on Act 2, and obviously Luke has told her, "Go look there," and she pulls out like a brick.
Pulls a brick,
and there's a wrapper in that, like a piece of material that's wrapped.
It's Kanye.
Yeah. Well, Kanye West is in there. He's like, I'm the greatest Force ghost in the world. And anyway, so she pulls out this material and opens it up, and there's another lightsaber in there.
Lightsaber.
Beautiful lightsaber. Like the detailing on it is fucking stunning. And it's Leia's. Yeah, Luke tells her the story, and it's a flashback. So we get another flashback full scene, and it's
they've got blast shields on, and they're lightsabering. Yeah, they're fighting with lightsabers.
Yeah, so there's like is it green and blue, or is it two blues?
No, it's green and blue.
So Luke ignites the green, and so they're fighting each other with blast shields, and it's a full-on fight, like it's acrobatic, and then one of them flips the other one over and holds the saber, and then unignites it.
So Luke lifts his, and it's young Luke.
Yeah, so de-aged like Luke. Young Luke.
Leia does hers, and it's basically like she's packing in her Force training. Yeah. Because she's pregnant, I think. Fuck, I can't remember.
I thought it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. So basically, after Return of the Jedi,
got another bit of this.
He trains her. So Leia gets her Jedi training. She is trained. Yes. They reveal that she has been fucking trained.
And Luke says to Rey, Leia knew about Palpatine.
Yeah.
Which didn't like it. Didn't like that.
Yeah.
That annoyed me because that's just bullshit.
Yeah.
That doesn't it makes no sense that you wouldn't be like, tell them.
Yeah.
But then does that go into the whole thing of like Ben and Yoda not telling Luke about Vader? And it's like, no, we'll get you fully trained and then we'll tell you about that. Or we'll get you fully trained, get you to kill him. Then we'll have a conversation afterwards when it's, it's a moot point.
Yeah. Well, they say something later on about that. It was like that Leia knew about it, but, she wanted to, it's not, I don't think it's a she wanted to protect you thing. I think it seemed more.
Maybe it's a nature nurture thing.
Yeah, I think it was more like, no, she's got to find her own way without being influenced or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to rewatch it today. So, yeah. So anyway, Leia, Jedi trained, but chose not to pursue because of other things. I think it was pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the Yoda theme playing, Luke raises the X-wing
from Ahch-To. I didn't like that. I did not like that.
Was it too cutesy? Was it too on the nose?
So it's fan servicey, but if we think about everyone that's all like, fuck the Last Jedi, Luke should have got in his X-wing and flown off and whatnot. What that does is, now we're not going to say plot hole, but there's something in it where there was Luke's door on his hut in Ahch-To. Everyone was saying that was a bit of the X-wing. I thought, and if someone can clarify this, I thought that door on the X-wing or door on the hut in Ahch-To was supposed to be a wing from the X-wing and whatnot.
No, you're right. Because I was thinking like, would it still fly? Also, would you get in it? It's so wet.
Yeah, it'd stink. It'd smell like seaweed.
It could have been like
fish shit.
How many years?
Been there for a lot of years. But anyway, yeah, he does the Yoda thing.
Raises
it
up.
Fan
servicey.
Very fan servicey. I didn't like that.
She heads to Exelon and communicates back to the Resistance to show them the way.
Yeah, it just basically turns on a tracker, and R2 picks it up. It's like, that's Luke. Luke's ship's flying. What the fuck's going on? That's Luke. And they're like, no, it's Rey. It's Rey.
Now
Finn feels that it's Rey.
Because Finn and Poe and Chewie come back and need to go see General Organa, and then
find out she's dead.
And that was heartbreaking because Chewie has like a really big visceral reaction of just like screaming or like yelling.
The Leia death didn't hit me until that. Like, Leia dies, and I was like, what the fuck? And like, you have that disbelief for a second. It's like, Leia's dead. What the hell? And then, it's Chewie coming out and being told the news, and he screams and he gets down on the ground and he starts like pounding the ground. Horrible. And I fucking lost it at that point. I was a mess.
So Poe, who's now in charge of the Resistance, rallies the troops and says, essentially, they're going to have to just do a normal rebellion, full assault.
Yeah.
Dominic Lord of the Rings says, we just need a couple of Holdo maneuvers, which I quite like that reference. And then someone's like, that's a 1 in a million thing. So it's like, okay, that's done. Let's draw a line under that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing you're not going to.
They say something about, and I think they hint something that made me think it's resourcing. Like, you don't, kind of got the feeling like you don't just fucking throw you don't just they don't have enough ships. That's the thing. Like, they go into this fight, they've got nothing.
So they send and they say basically, obviously they don't have any allies because of what happened after the Battle of Crate, where they called out, no one came. But Lando and Chewie are going to get in the Falcon and just go and like try and rally as many people as possible. So the scenes racing and catching Saints and point. Yeah, that's Seymour, you're spot on there. There's so many scenes that do feel as though it feels a bit pandering to the wrong people. Pander to me. Don't pander to dickheads. Yeah. Which sucked. But we'll see. So the part of the assault is basically all of these. There's a shitload of Star Destroyers, and they've got planet killers, and they've destroyed Babu Frick's planet, Kajimini, or whatever it's called, and they're all going to launch. But they all have a certain. Once they're in orbit, before they get into orbit, they're fucked. They're not as powerful as they could be, and they're all following a certain navigational thing. There's some sort of MacGuffin they've got to blow up.
Yeah, it's a transmission tower. Basically, they're in this weird part in the unknown regions.
And it's all lightning and
it's all lightning and stuff. So you've seen that in the teaser and the trailer. There's lightning all over the place. Basically, the atmosphere is screwy. You can't just launch big ships off the ground from there. And they were all submerged.
like all submerged.
Yeah, and that's something you see Palpatine do when he's like, "All right, I'm ready," and he's just like, he raises them with the Force.
That was right at the start. I kicked ass.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So yeah, they're going through this assault, and Finn lands a transport on a Star Destroyer. Sorry. So the navigation thing, Richard E. Grant. Hux! Sorry.
Yeah.
Hux has been shot in the leg. He goes to Richard E. Grant, and Richard E. Grant's character, Legion General Pride, and says, "Oh, they escaped and they shot me.
It was a coordinated assault, blah, blah, blah. They shot me."
So Pride just takes a gun off her stormtrooper and just shoots Hux dead.
Right in the chest.
We found the spy.
Yeah.
Which I thought
he doesn't buy that shit, which is cool.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, I thought that was good too, because that whole, it's very much a trope.
Yeah.
Shoot me. They've got to do it.
They've got to see I've done something.
And most movies, they would let that linger on for at least a bit and then use the discovery as some point of dramatic tension.
Yeah.
And they don't fucking bother with that, because that would have been a waste of time.
And that is the most, well, not the most, but it is like a big sort of Last Jedi type moment of like taking a trope and fucking with it, which the rest of the movie doesn't do as much.
Yeah.
So the assault, Finn. So the
going after
thing,
the antenna. Yeah.
Richard E. Grant's like, okay, they're going to go after the antenna. So what I want you to do is reroute that to the command ship.
Yeah, we'll do the command.
We'll do it from
command ship's already up. All the fleet still has to come
catch up with them.
And yeah, because of the interference and stuff, they need this message or this signal basically to tell the ship computers to do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
They can't be done humans can't do it. But yeah, they just go, nah, we're going to do it from the ship now. So the antenna turns off and they're just like, oh, fucking hell.
So Finn gets a transport and lands it on the Star Destroyer. And when the thing opens, it's all the horses and Janna, who's a character. Sorry, I completely missed out. So she's an ex-Imperial who's defected.
First Order.
Ex-First Order was kidnapped as a child and defected.
Yeah, so Finn's not the only one that defected.
And I thought that was cool. Her whole crew were all of that.
There was a little hint there. So, we were saying that Finn kind of feels something in the Force. So he doesn't have Force powers, but he feels it. What I thought was kind of interesting is the when him and Jaina are talking on the Falcon. They're doing some repairs or whatever, and she says, "Yeah, I was actually a First Order stormtrooper." She says her code. And he's like, FN2187. And they're like, oh, what? Yo. And she basically says, yeah, all of us. So she has a crew of people there on that other moon of Endor, in the Endor system. She's like, yeah, we're all defectors. Yeah. And basically it was the same scenario as Finn's. Basically, they were in some fight and were ordered to fire on civilians. And she said it was like a feeling. Or she couldn't put a word to it, and Finn finishes the sentence like a feeling,
like an instinct,
or something like that.
And he calls it the Force.
Yeah, and she says yeah, and so he calls that the Force. That like the Force guided him to rebel, and basically hints that that's what's happened. So this group of rebelled First Order troopers had happened, and it was in the same scenario as Finn. That's the thing that stopped them. Civilians. Compassion, basically.
Yeah. So they are on their horses and all that, and they try and destroy the thing. Poe's fleet's getting its ass kicked. Snap Wexley gets blown up.
Yeah.
Which is fucked after I just read Resistance Reborn, which is all about like Wedge and Nora and
Wedge is there.
So then the next minute, and this was very Avengers Endgame. Yeah. Everything's blowing up. You can hear in Poe's radio just like everything's fucked up. What are we gonna do? And he's like, I'm sorry, I thought we could do this, but we can't do it. There's not enough of us. And then you hear Lando saying like, oh, I think you'll find there's enough of us. And when you turn around, the whole sky is just full of Resistance fighters.
Well, not even Resistance fighters, just ships. So
actually, there's a great thing, isn't it? Because when it cuts back to the First Order, Richard E. Grant's like, what is this? They don't have a navy, and his like assistant's just like, it's not a navy, sir. It's just people.
Yeah,
and then they just like obliterate the Star Destroyers.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, this is all happening.
So that's one
storyline that's happening.
Yeah, the second one is Rey, basically. So Rey's led them there. Obviously, Rey has gone into this cool fucking like building, which is like
Like an amphitheater, like a coliseum.
Yeah, it's like a Sith Coliseum, like a big
Kind of stuff.
amphitheater and whatnot. She goes in there and she is having a dialogue with Palpatine during this.
He's like hanging. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, for all the messiness of this film, it looks gorgeous, and the sound design
Is stunning.
in that thing is like, because you can hear this like chanting crowd that you can sort of see.
You
in
can
the
only
background.
see like tiny little
Like
specks
hoods
of hoods in
and then there's just like this noise, just constantly like, it's like the lightning is like cutting.
Yeah, and screaming. It's like this subtle screaming sound, which was really cool. Yeah, and Palpatine. So like basically, Rey turns and sees the throne that we've all seen in the teaser, with like the big jagged edges and stuff like that, and it's pretty cool. And then Palpatine is talking to her, and she's looking at the throne, but then she looks off to the side, and some light hits him, and he's there. And it's because he's obviously like a mangled up clone kind of thing.
He's like suspended. Like
from his back, and there's like
a
arm.
cloak on the floor.
Yeah, it's like a big robotic arm that's hanging him basically and moving him around. And he's
in like attached to medical shit.
Yeah, and he's talking to her and whatnot. And basically, this was another one of those like exposition-y, let's just deliver it with dialogue kind of things that I was a bit like, it's a bit clumsy, but okay. And a little convoluted, but you kind of just have to say, okay, well, he said it, so it is. He basically says, yes, I was waiting for my granddaughter, and you're here. And she's like, I'll never join you. And he's like, I don't want you to join me. You're here to kill me. And he basically says that in this shrine, the point of getting her there is that by killing him, he reveals he has the power of every Sith inside of him. Okay, so he's not just one power Sith, he's every Sith. That's been him.
So like he's the last Sith.
He's the last Sith.
So it's like all of that, because there is obviously early on Luke says to her, 1,000 generations live in you now. So
you
are the last. She is essentially the last Jedi. So.
Yeah, and I guess the way that they play that. So when Luke is communicating it to Rey that 1,000 generations live in her, and she's basically she is every Jedi. He says it, and it to me it's communicated in a way that makes it feel kind of a bit less physical. It's like beyond the physical realm. It's just like a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
When Palpatine communicates the same thing but says all the Sith are in me, and when you kill me, you'll get all the Sith. The way he describes it, and I think just the way they play, to me, it felt like it was more of a physical thing. Like it didn't feel as spiritual in some respects.
There was like a possession element. So it was like when you become a Sith, you kind of,
because there's only ever two of them, right? And one of them's the one in charge. So that's the one with the all the power, basically. So So Andy, the Sith Arena reminded me of a faded version of the Sith Temple on Malachor Rebels. Okay. Yeah, it was kind of like that. It had a lot of that sort of element to it.
So yeah, he's like, okay, you kill me, and
then you'll get all the power, and you'll be the Sith.
And then and then basically opens the ceiling so she can see. Now this is pre-Lando showing up, and the fleet's just getting fucked. And it's basically just like, kill me, you'll possess all the Sith.
Yep.
You'll be the Empress.
Yeah.
You can stop this.
Yeah.
So she draws a lightsaber and gets ready to get down to business. Same time, Kylo shows up. Don't know in what. Oh no, there's a TIE fighter. Yeah. Shows up, starts blasting some of the guards, and then encounters the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Who finally fucking do something, and they beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Then
he's got no lightsaber.
So Rey has her lightsaber, and then as she puts it behind her,
she's gonna strike down Palpatine. So there's a moment where she's like, feels like she's lost, and is like, he's right. The only way that I stop this is, and Palpatine's mission is revealed here. His theory basically is that if she strikes him down and does the ceremony or the ritual, as he calls it, and takes all of the Sith into her, that transference of Sith energy basically eliminates the Jedi, because she's the last Jedi. So that is his end game. It's like, no more Jedi if you become Sith. So she's like, fuck, he's right. So yeah, she does that.
She puts it down back
to strike him.
But then the next one she pulls her hand back and it's empty, and we cut to Ben Solo, and he's got the lightsaber.
Yeah, and so they force time in the moment.
he kind of
she
has
smiles
it, and they
before
all look
that.
at him, and he just kind of Kylo just goes, gives him a little shrug, and then just fucks them up.
Yeah, very quick. Like he
Makes
dispenses
very quick work of them.
Yeah,
So then you do get a scene of like he runs into the thing, and you have like he's got a blue lightsaber. He's got Luke's lightsaber, and she pulls Leia's.
Yeah,
and they're standing side
by side.
But very quickly, the
Yep.
Emperor just fucks them off, fucks the lightsabers off, and absorbs their like Force essence and rejuvenates him.
Yeah.
Rejuvenates himself from like
Yeah.
old as fuck to slightly less old as fuck.
Yeah.
But his fingers all come back.
Yeah, because he's a like corpsey looking at that point.
And he kind of blasts into the sky, and all the ships start falling out the sky.
Something that is like not even peppered. There's like a little mention of it earlier on. Sorry to cover your.
No, please film it.
I don't know how to do this. I am crashing your head. I am going. So the way that it's mentioned, it's sort of like almost as a throwaway line. Ben says something earlier on about the two of them being a dyad.
Yes, sorry.
Basically, that whole concept of Reylo being, that they are two sides of the same coin. That's called a dyad. So this dyad is that they are the two sides of the same coin, and that's why they should join forces. That's Ben's theory. But when Palpatine overpowers them and starts pulling their essence out of them, because he's like, well, all right, well, you won't do what I want, so I'll just kill you. And he goes to suck their life force out of them. And he goes, I've got a dyad on my hands here. That's pretty damn rare. This doesn't happen.
But he's like, all his fingers are mangled, and then as he kind of...
the power of the dyad rejuvenates him.
And his eyes clear, and they go all yellow.
Yeah. Concept of that is that by absorbing the dyad, he's like, well, I don't need you to absorb the Sith now because I will be more powerful than anything.
Yeah. So knocks the two of them out, blasts lightning into the sky, and then Ben Solo wakes up, and the Emperor just flicks him away. You'll fall like I fell, throws him away, and he falls down a hole.
Yeah.
And then Rey is looking up at the sky, and she can see all the lightning, and then she's saying, be with me. And then she kind of drifts off into the sky, and then you just hear voices, and you hear Obi-Wan, Mace Windu,
Yoda, Luke
at
the end,
Leia, I believe, and Anakin saying, you can restore balance like I did.
Yeah.
Because he's the chosen one.
Yeah, and that sort of really like helps bring back what I was saying earlier.
Oh, Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon as well.
Oh yeah, you hear Qui-Gon as well. So yeah, all the Jedi Masters we know. It's not like the Force ghosts turn up and be like, hey. And that was the moment I was thinking, could we get the Force ghost like party? But no Force ghost party. But she gets their voices. They tell her like what we'd been saying a sec ago about like the power of the Jedi being passed through is like beyond the physical realm. Yeah. Like the Force is there to support her. They encourage her basically. They say, we're here with you. And that gives her the strength to get up and fight.
There was a female voice as well. And I'm thinking, was that Ahsoka? No.
Maybe. So there was supposed to be an Ahsoka Easter egg.
Maybe
but
we'll find out.
I don't know.
So she gets up, gets a lightsaber. He blasts lightning. She catches the lightsaber, and then she kind of gets close to him, and then she grabs the other lightsaber. And with two of them, it's enough power to turn the lightning back, and he just gets fucked up.
I found that a bit anticlimactic. Like, because he's so when he gets the power of the dyad and he goes lightning to the sky, it's like huge, and it's like he just starts taking out all the ships. He's disabling them all by zapping them. So you get this moment, everyone's just like falling out of the sky kind of thing. But then when she gets up, he stops doing that and is like, all right, it's you. And then he goes to zap her. She does the Yoda thing, single lightsaber. Then she force pulls the second lightsaber, goes cross, and starts reflecting it back at him. And that is what does it. So basically, it's kind of...
there you go. Supposedly Ahsoka, Lumina.
Ahsoka was in the credits. Yeah. All right, so it must have been one of the voices. And supposedly Ahsoka.
And the next one?
Luminara Unduli and Ayla Sakura are credited for voices. Wow. Okay.
And Kanan.
Hold on.
I need to listen.
Yes, it was Ahsoka and Kanan. Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, he gets completely melted away, and then she dies.
Yeah.
So she falls to the floor dead. Ben Solo pulls himself out of his hole, gets to her, picks her, kind of cradles her in his arms, and then
he starts praying. Basically,
yeah, he kind of puts his hands on her, and then the same way she healed him, he heals her, brings her back to life. and they look at each other, and they have a big smooch.
Yeah.
Then
So
he gives her
Reylo kiss happens. He smiles and he's happy.
and then he dies.
And he dies. Yeah.
But when he dies, he vanishes.
Yeah.
Becomes one with the Force. And now this might tie into something you said. At the moment he dies and becomes one with the Force, so does Leia.
Yeah. Yes. So that was interesting. So yeah, Leia, this whole time, her body had been sitting back
Just
at
like in
the
stasis,
resistance.
with a blanket over
Yeah,
her.
they've just put a shroud over her, and yeah, they together go hump and become one with the Force. Yeah, and they go. They both go. So you get the Reylo kit. Well, you get Bendemption.
Yep.
You get you get the Reylo fight together.
Yep.
You get the Reylo kiss.
Yep.
But
Ben dies.
Ben gives his life to save her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
as his final gesture.
Yeah. And then
but becomes one with the Force.
Becomes one with the Force. So then we get back to the forest planet, and everyone's just hugging and celebrating. We do see two women kiss in the background. So I guess that was the representation that JJ promised us.
Yeah, it's what's her name? I
can't think of her name, but she's in Last Jedi. She's the English woman who announces that Holdo is now in charge.
Yeah.
So you see her again, a character.
Yeah, kissing a woman straight on the lips.
Her in Last Jedi. So you see her kiss in the background. And then we end on Tatooine.
Yeah. Well, they're basically, there's a lot of hugging it out, and they show things happening around in different planets and stuff like that. Seymour, we'll come back to this. Actually, I'll take it off screen and we'll come back to it. Yeah, so you see other planets where basically the
Star Destroyers are falling
final
out of the sky.
order ships are falling out of the sky because they don't have anything controlling them or commanding them.
So you see Bespin, you see Endor, and you see two Ewoks, one of which played by Warwick Davis.
Yep.
And
looking
Wicket,
up,
Wicked's kid.
Yeah, Junior Wicket looking up and like going, cool.
So you see Bespin, is that it?
Yeah. Yeah, so you see Bespin, you see the other Endor, and you see a couple other planets that aren't really I don't know what they are. And then, everyone's sort of happy and hugging. They're back together. And then, what's it? And then, Rey goes off.
So Rey goes off and ends up goes to Tatooine and lands at the Lars farm.
Yep.
And goes and has a bit of a mooch around. And then she gets the two lightsabers, Luke and Leia's, wraps them up and buries them. Yep. Reveals her lightsaber.
She has another lightsaber.
It's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird turny thing.
Orange blade.
Yep. And then she, an old woman comes by and says, "Who are you?" Or basically, no one ever comes here. So, who are you? And she says, "My name's Rey." And the woman says, "Oh, who are your family? Or what's your name? What's your full name? Whatever." And Rey looks off into the distance and she sees the Force ghosts of Leia and Luke. And she turns around to the woman and says, "Rey Skywalker." And then she turns, her and BB-8 look at the twin suns.
And that's it.
And that's the end.
And credits. So, yeah, I guess...
Does he win? People keep saying this.
So people keep saying that. And it's like, well, no, I don't think he wins. Like, how does he win? His entire plan is thwarted. Like, his plan...
The
Sith are eliminated. So that's the thing. Like,
are you saying that it's the plan to wipe out the Skywalkers?
No, his plan is to wipe out the Jedi, not the Skywalkers.
Okay.
So his plan has always been he wants to get rid of the Jedi. He says it like it's a dirty word. He's never there to get rid of the Skywalkers.
It's just an incidental thing.
It's an incidental thing.
The thorn in his side consistently.
Yeah, they're the things that like are constantly either helping him or against him. So like I don't see it as a win. I see it definitely as a loss for him. I mean, the Skywalker's bloodline is born of the Force and it ends in the Force. That is a complete circle in terms of the actual the Skywalkers. This comes back to the concept of choice. This is the nature versus nurture thing. Like Rey throughout this whole thing, and even stronger now, I think, has the backstory of someone who should be the bad guy. Like we've said that from The Force Awakens. She's got every reason to be the bad guy, but she chooses to be good. And that is really, I think, hammered home by this ending.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that, despite I don't like her being a Palpatine, it's like I can forgive it because it basically says no. You don't have to be the thing that everyone seems, or it says that you must be.
Yeah,
you can be what you want to be, and I think that's a powerful message. Like, I think that is an absolutely powerful message.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Like, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's a messy film, and sometimes it feels like it's trying too hard to sort of fix The Last Jedi. But I liked it.
Yeah. You know,
and now I need to go home and go to bed.
Yeah. So like I'm gonna hang about, I think, and keep going if you need to go.
I definitely need to go. It's 4:45 and I'm in work at 9. I gotta go.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us. And I guess my final thoughts would be I need to watch this movie again. I think it falls into the sort of it's the Return of the Jedi to Empire Strikes Back. It's messy, but I'm gonna give it another go. See, because there's bits I really like, and it's Star Wars. Even if it's not good, it's good.
Yeah, like. Yeah, this is I guess the danger of doing spoiler chats and stuff like that. Like, you know, a lot of you guys comment and stuff and talk to us, you know, throughout all of our videos and stuff like that. So even though we may not know each other in person, if I knew you in person and you said to me, "Hey, I want you to tell me the ending and all this sort of stuff," I'd say, "Fuck off. I'm not going to tell you." But doing this, obviously, like this is for the benefit of us to get it off our chest, and we're sharing it with the world and whatnot. And you know, the danger here is that people who I have spoken to and we've spoken to that we think fondly of, you haven't seen it, so I think you owe it to yourself. Like, so you didn't get the thing that you wanted 100%, but you know what? You'll probably get a bunch of it. And I think when you see it, I think there's more wins than there are losses in this. And it's, despite being messy, there is so much in it that is open to different bits of interpretation. And I think you're robbing yourself if you say, "Well, I'm not going to go see it." It's the 9th fucking story in the Skywalker saga. Don't be so fucking stubborn. Sorry, I love you all, but come on, go fucking see it.
Goodbye.
See you, mate. Like, don't pull that. Like, that's some weirdness there. Like, sorry, it is late and you can see my eyes. You know, I hope that it hasn't made you feel bad about it. I think that you should go in with a very open mind on this, because it's not something that even I feel like I can walk away from and make a decision on. Like, just like The Last Jedi, like I couldn't sleep that night. Like, I got home and I was just laying there staring at the ceiling, thinking it through. And that ended up being the film that I loved the most in the entire saga. But I didn't feel that way when I walked out of it. I felt confused. There was so much going on and there was so much stuff that just didn't land the first time I watched it. And you know where I am. Like, you know where I am with that. You know that I love The Last Jedi now more than any other Star Wars film. But that didn't happen overnight. That took a little bit. That took more watching it and letting the dust settle. Anyone that can walk in, I don't care who you are, anyone that can walk into a Star Wars film, watch it once and go, "That's it. It's done. It's done. I don't need to see it again. I got everything out of it." Fuck off. No one is that perceptive, and especially not in this. Like, 2 years later, we're still picking things out of The Last Jedi because there's subtlety. We're going to be picking stuff out of this because it's the opposite of subtlety. There is so much going on in this, and I can't stress that enough. Like, yeah, I think if you don't go see it just because Ben dies at the end, I actually don't think that he was robbed. Like, yeah, cool. He could have stayed alive. He could have done all these things, but he gave himself that redemption that he deserved. He got that. He proved to Rey, if no one else, that Ben was still inside of him. And that is enough for me. Like, I'm super happy with that. Like, I would have loved to have seen him there, but seeing him smile twice in it actually really was a fucking great moment. Like, there were 2 great moments. Like, seeing him get emotional and not just be that, "I'm angry." You know, he does the pout a lot. Like that is something that I really liked seeing, and I found that so satisfying. So I feel like he got that, and that he got to basically prove himself to Rey, and that's all that fucking matters. That's all that matters. Vader's redemption was to who? Just to his son. That was it. The rest of the galaxy didn't give a shit. He was still Vader. Kylo Ren will still be Kylo Ren to the rest of the galaxy, but not to Rey, and that's important. So if anyone's got any other questions or comments or anything like, oh, actually, you know what? There was something. So someone asked about Rose. No, we didn't really talk about Rose in this, and there's a reason for that. Rose is, yeah, here we go. Kaylin, sorry to say, Rose's role is pretty small. She gets a couple of lines of dialogue. She's there. She's present, sometimes in the foreground, sometimes in the background. You see her, you know that you feel her presence. She's underutilized, which I found a real shame, actually. I think that, like there was the press and whatnot that said that, oh yeah, she's what do you call it? Moved up the ranks. She's now like advanced and all that sort of stuff in the Resistance. Well, you don't see it, and that's a real crying shame. I think like she doesn't get much. She doesn't get much in it. She is the one that basically asks the questions like, where's Finn, and that sort of thing. And like she wants to go get Finn when he's stuck on the command ship and it's going to go down because they've just blown up the command center. She wants to go, and Finn's like, no, Rose, go. Like, and that's about it. There's not much else for her, which is a real shame. It's a real fucking shame because I don't think there was conscious anything of anyone going, yeah, you know what, fans didn't like this and they didn't like that. I don't think that. I just think that this rounded out the story in a way that is very much heavy on fan service. I don't think it's an intentional omission. It's just that they've crammed in so much more. Like if you were trying to placate people that didn't like Rose, you just wouldn't put her in anything. You would just say, oh, well, she's just off to the side there, and you just forget about her. But she's there. She gets some lines of dialogue. It's true that she's important, and you do get that sense. Like, it's not like she's just, a simpering nothing in the background. But yeah, she definitely deserved more lines. That's a bit of a shame. Claude is a nothing. I gotta say, like the sock monster thing, like he's nothing. He gets like a couple of little moments. Zori Bliss survives, which is cool, and there's like a little hint that maybe her and Poe could hit it off. Sean, so Sean's like, gotta go. Look, he's still on fucking line here. Did we get a dedication to Peter Mayhew in the credits? Yeah, we didn't see. If maybe someone can answer that. Yeah. So anyway, that's and look, I'm going to put this up on screen. Kaylin, cave to that criticism. Disagree. I disagree. I think that it is reading too far into it to think that they're caving to criticism. I think that, if you were going to cave to criticism, you wouldn't do it at all. But they give her some. They just don't give her that much. They really focus on the trio. They give them the most screen time. There is not much time that doesn't include them on any of this. Like everyone else that is in that lower rank, that aren't like the primary characters, they get about the same. Like, so Kelly Marie Tran gets about the same. Oh, actually, no, she gets more time than like Jaina and Snap Wexley and all of them. Like, but they really keep the focus in the main stories. They don't diverge off. They don't bring in too many other people, and I think that's totally fine. It doesn't feel like it's going to feel like it's intentional. If you think it's intentional, cool. I'm not gonna cast a judgment on that, but I don't think it was. I think there's just they focused the story where they needed to because there's so much other shit going on. So. That's it. I think it's. God, we've been going for Bulio. What the hell is? What's Bulio? I don't remember what Bulio is. I don't know. yeah. Anyway, all right. Look, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna go home. I am absolutely dog tired. Like my eyes are burning. So thanks everyone for tuning in and chatting to us. Like we've reacted. Yeah, it's it's done. Like that's it. It's done. I'm gonna go watch it again in a couple of hours actually. So I better go and try and get like the tiny little trace of sleep, like the outline of sleep. Thanks everyone. It's been rad. I hope that if you were on the fence about going to see it and you still feel on the fence, or you feel negative because of something that I've said or that we've said, don't fucking listen to us. Don't listen to anyone that's like giving their hot takes and their reactions and shit like that. Just go fucking see it. Go see it. Be a part of the conversation, because that's how the fandom does good things, when you include yourself and you include others. So take care. I'm gonna click some buttons now. How do I do this? Get rid of me. Bye.